In the previous lesson, we finished building this elements page, which contains styles for typography, buttons, and forms. Well, now we can actually start building the home page of our portfolio theme. And since it's a portfolio theme, we must keep things really simple because the home page needs to show some portfolio entries, a menu, the logo, and some contact information. So let's focus on that. I've duplicated the UI elements page into homepage PSD, and I just kept the grid and the logo. So the logo, I'm actually going to group it in another group called header, red. We'll align it on the center of the page, and we'll leave, as you can see here, two baseline grid rows, which equals to 48 pixels of top margin or top padding, however you want to call it. Okay, next up is the menu. So create a new group, call it menu, and the menu will be something like this: home. We'll leave about 10 blank spaces. And then we have portfolio, about, and contact. Really a simple, straightforward menu. The font will be Source Sans Pro, light, 16 pixels, and for color, we'll use the light text. Okay, let's position it something like this. So we have another 48 pixels from the logo. Okay, and let's create different states for it. So this one, let's rename it to normal. Let's create another one, call it over, and yet another one, call it active. Okay, so how do they work? Well, the over is how it should look like when you hover your mouse over them. In this case, we'll just change the text color to primary color, like this. Actually, I selected the wrong one, sorry. Okay, so that's the over state, and the active state should be like this. So instead of the light text, we'll use the dark text. Okay. Next up, it's time to start building the actual content area, the area that will contain the portfolio entries. So for that, create a new group. We'll start with the rectangle tool. We'll make it about 1400 in width by, let's say, about 800. So a rather large container here. Okay, this will bring it to the top, and again we'll position it so that we have about 48 pixels of top margin. We'll make it white. Let's call this content BG, and we'll apply a pattern. Now the pattern is called arches. You can grab it from subtlepatterns.com/arches, and it looks something like this. Okay, I've already have it installed, so I'm gonna go to pattern overlay, and let's see if I can find it here. Okay, there it is. So arches. Now this is a bit too strong, so I'm gonna reduce its opacity to about 50%. Okay, and also I'm gonna add an inner shadow to create this shadow effect on the top. So uncheck use global light. We'll change the angle to 90 degrees. Distance 5, choke 5, size, let's set it to 3. And distance, let's go with 0 here, because we're looking for a very, very subtle effect. So reduce its opacity by about 40%. Maybe increase the size again to 5. Yeah, something like that. That looks pretty good. Okay, now for the content inside, We'll start with some 3 basic shapes. Let's call this actually intro. Okay, we'll start with the rectangle tool. Draw like a white rectangle, and let's position it, let's align it with both the baseline grid and the bootstrap grid. So we're looking for 3 columns in this page, which means we must make each of these sections 4 grid columns. So let's see, call this BG. Let's give it a stroke. The stroke color will be DC, DB, DB. Let's also add it to our swatches panel as border. Okay, and also let's add a drop shadow. Set the angle to 90 degrees, distance 0, spread 0, size 5, and also the opacity, bring it down to about 20%. Okay, just like that. Okay, let's reduce the height of this element to something like this. Okay, now this will be used to show images, but in this case we'll use it to show a bit of text. So let's see, that's BG. Let's group this as 1. Let's see, the BG is 370 pixels. That's good. We'll duplicate this. Clear the layer style. Choose dark BG. And then shrink it by 6 pixels on left and right. Okay, now we just move it 3 pixels to the right and 3 pixels down. And this is the basic intro box. So inside it, we'll have a bit of text. We're going to say, like, I'm Adi, just like an introduction. We're going to use the heading 1 for this. Actually, let's go ahead and copy it. Okay, we're going to use white. And then we'll align it with the background. And I think heading 2 is actually a bit better for this, since 36 pixels is a bit too much. So 30 pixels. Okay, that looks perfect. Okay, next up, let's duplicate this real quick. And here we're going to say something like a small description, like I create super awesome stuff. Okay, this one we'll just stick to regular. Okay, and finally, number 3. Just gonna say the freelance availability. I'm available for freelance projects. Okay, let's increase the line height for this a little bit. So 30 pixels, it should be about 40 or even 45. I'm gonna use 42. Okay, cool. Now I want to color these a little bit, just to give some color to the page, because the rest of it is just gray. So let's actually use the colors inside the logo to do that. So I'm going to use, let's see, maybe this. That's too dark. I think this is just perfect. Okay, and I'm available for freelance projects. Let's make this a green color, since we're talking about availability, basically. Something like that. Okay, great. Now, one final touch for this video is to create a little stripe on the bottom, on the top of the page, which contains some of the colors from the logo. So let's see, going back to the header, stripe. Let's do like a rectangle tool, 100 pixels, height should be 3 pixels. And this can actually be a bit longer. It doesn't matter how long it is, because you're just going to repeat it over and over. Position it like that. And, you know, start picking some colors. Let's see. Let's start with this. And then just duplicate it. And pick maybe a blue color. Like that. And then duplicate these two. Okay, and pick something like that. And for the other one, let's pick like a yellow. Okay, let's see, we have room for 2 more here. Okay, let's go with the green this time. And finally with maybe a red. Okay. So that's a very basic color stripe. Okay, cool. That's it for this lesson. Next time we'll take care of the rest of the portfolio. We'll add some images, see how the portfolio cells, if you want to call them that like that, act on mouse over, and also we'll see about the call to action area. So thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next lesson. Bye bye.